All right, let's call the September 13th, 2018 work session to order. All right, do the pledge led by your chairman. All right, do we have any questions on the agenda? Anybody want anything changed or added?
Mr. Chairman, can I go over a couple of things on approval consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
The quality teacher development contract, this is for our special ed students in the RTI math, that we have some consultants that come in and work with the teachers. And on the EverFi contract and agreement, we have, the Board of Education has an MOU, we'll have an MOU with the Rutherford County Health Department, Tennessee Department of Health, where they provide curriculum on healthy living, tobacco cessation, alcohol awareness, drug awareness, and things of that nature in our major high schools. Now, the curriculum can be up to $25,000 for all the high schools cumulatively, but we do get the money back from the Tennessee Health Department. We can request the funding from the Tennessee Health Department.
Okay, does anybody have anything on the consent agenda? All right, nothing there. We'll move on to no visitors. Recognitions, Mr. Spurlock.
Yeah, the Tennessee Department of Education created the Tennessee Ready Ambassadors. There was 37 positions. I think there was 35 teachers and 2 instructional coaches that were named for this. And we were very fortunate to have these 4 within our system that have been named to this prestigious committee. What they'll be doing is we'll be working with the State Department of Education on the testing along with the vendors. So there's a lot of things information that will be able to be provided to us through these ambassadors. So it's a great thing that we were able to get 4 on there, and it speaks very highly of these 4 individuals. And they will be with us on Thursday night, and we'll let them do a little bit more detail of what they all will be doing.
Facilities.
Stewart's Creek High School. The staff of Stewart's Creek High School has requested to install a canopy to protect the school's UTVs. This canopy will be located near the rear of the loading dock and will be attached to the building. Engineering Construction has reviewed the proposed location and finds it acceptable for this purpose. The cost for this canopy will come from the school's general fund.
Any questions? All right. B.
Stewart's Creek High School baseball and softball. The staff at Stewart's Creek High has requested to begin planning and fundraising to construct a hitting facility for baseball and softball. This facility is yet to be designed, but the location has been reviewed by the Engineering Construction. This facility will be at no cost to the board and will be of similar size to other school structures. After board approval, the final building design and plans will need to be brought back before the board for approval.
Any questions on that? I've got one. I don't know whether I need you or Mr. Lee. Are they planning on making one building that has a facility for both teams?
Yes, sir. That's the intent.
It won't be just one facility for 2 teams?
It'll be one facility, and they're going to eventually split it in half, where one side will be baseball and one side will be softball. It'll be one structure, one building.
Okay, thank you. Okay, insurance update.
Okay, everybody should have received in the mail the new ADP benefits. So that's the automatic new I guess, platform that they're using there. They were forced to update this year. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to go in there and update that, and you'll want to do that by the end of this month so that when it comes time for open enrollment in October, you'll be able to have access to make those changes and, review what you've elected to update. Also, don't forget that September 30th is the end of our biometric screening, and your opportunity, last opportunity for your discount to fill out your MyCigna little survey, online survey. So do both parts by September 30th.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Director's update.
Couple of things. We have received our designation as a school system on our testing and our accountability piece, along with some of the school information. It's embargoed currently, and it will be embargoed to September the 21st. Once the embargo is lifted, we will be sharing that with the board. I will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, there's some challenges in some areas. There's some successes in some areas. I spent the last 3 days in Gatlinburg with the State Department of Ed, and there's some things that I learned that going forward, how we'll handle some of this stuff. Like I said, some of the challenges that we had, obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't say the testing issues with our middle and high school had some impact, but I do think that we can do a better job with communication. I think that was lacking, and I think we can do better going forward. Now, currently, as we've mentioned before, as far as testing is concerned online, they're going forward currently with high school only on the ELC, and then I think it's science. Am I correct on that, Mr. Zago? Science? Current. That's what they're currently looking at. That can all change, but that's what we've been hearing for a while. I will say, when we started off in June, when I attended a meeting here in Murfreesboro with Mr. Odom, the information that was provided at that time was that due to the issues that we had with testing, that we would not get a summative score, that each school, including the district, would get a score in those areas of accountability with a 1 to 4 score, but there would not be a summative score. Well, there's not really a summative score, but there's a designation, which is basically a summative score. And like I said, I think looking over some of the things that we've seen previously, there's some things we can take away from it, and there's some things that quite frankly, is not valid enough for us to really use. But I will say this, and it's spending some time in Gatlinburg around some of the larger districts, some that a little bit smaller than us, and I look at our graduation rate, and I look at our chronic absenteeism. We're doing a pretty good job there now. Obviously, some schools have more challenges than others, but I think what we're doing is we're working through this implementation of how to correct some of those issues, and I look for everyone to be successful in that. But there are some things that, like I said, it's going to be a different than what we were used to seeing. Let me just put it that way. And but it's something we'll take and we'll grow from. Next update on Monday, September the 17th, 5:30, we'll be at Laverne Middle. We would like to have anyone listening to this, we'd like for you to come out. We will be doing it a little bit different. We're going to be utilizing some of our personnel that's going to be with us from the central office. And hopefully this, once again, our whole purpose of this is to inform our parents, being transparent in everything that we do, to engage them as partners and as advocates as we need. That's it.
Okay, general discussion by board members. I'll start off here. I've got 2 or 3 things. One, you have a list of meeting dates to January, into January. Ms. Michaels had a little bit of a hard time getting October dates in. Oh, sorry, thought you had one. Anyway, might be hard to change any of the October dates. So if you have any problems with the rest of these, let Ms. Michaels know, right? Yeah. All right, next thing. Hopefully, by tomorrow, we'll have all the committees assigned. Ms. Michaels maybe can get that if I can do it early in the morning. Last thing, be sure on September the 18th, listen to Ms. Sharp and Ms. Johnson on the radio. So I'm sure that'll be interesting.
What time are they going to be on?
10:30, all right, 10:30 in the morning with Mr. Brian Barrett. Y'all will have a great time. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, on the governor's listening tour, I saw where he went to Knoxville. I believe he was in Franklin. I was just, maybe I missed it, but maybe not. But is he coming here? Do we know?
He was in Franklin. That was as close as he gets. We did send someone there. Well, I think we had 2 representatives that went there. It may be something we want to have them come forward and present, you know, what they, I mean, there were some talking points that I think would be very informative for everyone. If that would be something that the board would like to do, we could have that.
I'd rather hear from the governor, to tell you the truth, but
You're not going to hear from me.
no, probably not.
You may be easier to win the lottery.
If I'm not mistaken, when this tour of his was first announced, people were under the impression, I know I certainly was, that they would be town hall style meetings that would be open to the public. But they shut that down, and that was not correct. Is that right? Okay.
That's
So
correct.
the ambassadors that we're going to hear from, our teachers on Thursday, they weren't part of that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, so that's something.
We do have we do have 2 individuals that are in the county, 2 teachers in a tested area that were a part of it and got to ask some questions. And I will add that in my time in Gatlinburg, both gubernatorial candidates were offered an opportunity to come in and present and ask questions. Mr. Lee did not attend, but Mr. his name.
No. Dean.
Earl Dean, okay. He impressed me, okay? But he did attend. And one of the questions I think it was, that you would be interested in was about school vouchers. And he said he was totally against school vouchers.
We sent two teachers to the Franklin meeting. Okay.
Anything else?
That was actually the only, I mean, that was all they requested, were, you know.
Yes, sir.
If I may, on that, and I would agree with Mr. Jordan, I would have much rather been able to hear it myself from the governor, but I do think since we took the time and effort to send 2 of our teachers to that, and it's such an important topic, I would like to see them come present their feedback from that meeting to the board.
We can do that.
I just found it to be so unusual, and I've just promised myself to do a whole lot less criticizing than what we have done, and I think appropriately. But it just seems so unusual to me to have a listening tour 7 3/4 years too late. I just don't understand that. But okay, but I agree with her. I would like to hear if anything was discussed. I'm sure it was, and just what the topics were.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on another topic if we're ready to move on under general discussion. On the board meeting schedule that's been presented to us, it looks, if I'm reading this correctly, these are just our standard work sessions and board meetings. So I'm assuming it's still subject to change at this point with special called meetings, whether it be for zoning, policy meetings, that sort of thing.
That is a good question. We are going to be having some in October. We're looking at that on those rezoning meetings. Now, what I would like to do is get those maps to you as we get these things kind of, nothing's in stone, but kind of modeled, get them to you. We've got a meeting with elementary. It's either, I think it's this week, is it, Ms. Michaels? You remember? Tomorrow?
That's right, you've been meeting with the principals,
Right.
right? Are those going well?
It has gone well.
Another thing on rezoning, I'd like to, our first meeting about rezoning, I'd like to have all the schools that are affected principals here and let them maybe meet first and then go from there.
Absolutely.
Could I say something? During my campaign, I went to the IT of the city, Rutherford County City, and they made a huge map for just my area. Could we have one of our whole Rutherford County area so we can look at it and see? I don't know if that's,
You can?
I don't know if that's in the
Yeah.
budget or something
That's-
like that. but
Yeah,
I
the
would like-
map will actually show that.
Yeah, I would like to
entire
have,
Rutherford
I mean, even if we had it up on the screen or something like that, if we just had the whole entire area that we could look at with the divisions cut out.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can get you the current district, zones now, maps, and send those to you. Now, we have, you can access those, but you probably won't, you can access them online.
They're very hard to access
Yeah,
by
the county
iPads.
system, map system is really hard to manipulate. It used to be easier. I don't know what they've done. But actually, Mr. Morgan sent something to me earlier because I had reached out to Mrs. Joyce and asked her for a list that she sent me a long time ago, and I had managed to misplace it, and that was a list of, specifically what schools were in what zones. And Mr. Morgan followed up on that with the breakdown of the whole school system zoning map. So I'm quite sure he could forward that on to
what
everybody
can we-
else as well if we just asked him.
What we can do, and you'll actually have 3 different maps. You'll have the high school, middle school, and the elementary school.
But of course, with the rezoning, kind of to Ms. Sharp's question, if I remember correctly from the rezoning that I've been through since I've been on the board, that's something that Mr. Morgan brings in when he does the presentations. You've got all kinds of maps and, the different proposals and the layouts and everything to look at. He's very, very thorough with that. So I think it's going to satisfy.
What we're going to do this year,
I have a huge 3x5 map of my area.
what we're going to do this year when we show the proposed rezoning is we're going to use some box-like boards, Promethean boards, where they're interactive, where you can pull it up and see the demographics, the enrollment, all that stuff. That's what the principals have been looking at.
Anybody else?
Just looking at the schedule, I certainly have no particular objection to this whatsoever, but we don't meet except tomorrow and the 22nd, right? Saturday morning? Is that correct? Correct. The 22nd is the only meeting we'll have after tomorrow night until the 16th of October? Fine. Okay.
No other questions, we'll be adjourned.